can say that the Constitution reflected a enormous blind spot in this culture that carries on until this day, and that the framers had that same blind spot. I don't think the two views are contradictory to say that it was a remarkable political document that paved the way for where we are now, and to say that it also reflected the fundamental flaw of this country that continues to this day.
Hey, Think Tankers, welcome back to another episode. I know for the past couple, I guess there are only two blogs, so the past two blogs, you probably noticed I've been looking down a lot, and you're probably asking, is he falling asleep? Is that better? Can you hear me? Check. Okay. So, let me start over. Hey, Think Tankers. Welcome back to Think Tank. What I was saying was, if you noticed, past couple blogs, me looking down a lot, I'm not falling asleep. I'm actually reading what I'm going to say right here. I know you guys can't read it. This camera is only $20. So, yeah, so I don't sound like 100% idiot. Now, this way I only sound 50% idiot. So that is why I'm looking down at it. I need a script. All right? I can barely read as it is. All right. 3/5 equals 1. Yesterday, Congress read the Constitution to all its members and whoever watched it. But I recently learned that not all of it was read. Maybe the printer ran out of ink, or maybe the staffer may have fell out of the pile. I don't know how they divvied it up, but somehow it was omitted. And then I found out they actually omitted it because they didn't want to offend any particular American. The Republicans decided to omit the 3/5 clause and the 18th Amendment from their reading. Now, I feel that the past dictates the future, and I also feel that every American should know what their country has been through, right or wrong, what they've done, right or wrong. And of course, we all know the scar that slavery, has left in our country. But I think something has been left out. Something very important has been left out, and it's within the 3/5 clause. I feel that without this compromise, 3 things would have happened. I'll start from 3 because that's how I have it written down here. I told you. 3 things, or the U.S. probably wouldn't exist as we know it today, and I'll explain that in a second. 2, war would either broken out sooner, and war I mean Civil War, or there wouldn't have been a Northern victory. And 3, every state would have been a slave state, and here comes my explanation. Now, before I get to that explanation, I have another short intro here. There are a lot of people out there that think that most of the founding fathers were for slavery. When that's simply not true. Now, founding fathers did have slaves, that is true. But I think there was enlightenment was happening everywhere. And I totally believe that when they talk about all free men created equal, they're talking about slaves too. They need a system in place to abolish slavery and have a union. Anyways, I have a quote from George Mason. It's him speaking to the Constitutional Convention. And here's the quote. "Every master of slaves is born a petty tyrant. They bring the judgment of heaven on a country. As nations cannot be rewarded or punished in the next world, they must be in this. By an inevitable chain of causes and effects, Providence punishes national sins by national calamities." I mean, that's simply prophetic. That Civil War, I would constitute that as a national calamity. Now, actually, the 3/5 clause or rule was actually brought up in 1783 as an amendment proposed to the Articles of Confederation. Now, if you remember in whole history back in probably high school, in the Articles of Confederation, all states had equal say despite population. So it wasn't based on population, it was just all equal say, which meant that if any state opposed a amendment or anything like that it would fail. And this 3/5 clause at this time did fail because there were 2 states that opposed it. Now, during the Constitutional Convention, delegates included several provisions that explicitly recognized and protected slavery. But let's get to the meat of the matter. Without these provisions, Southern delegates would not support the new Constitution, and without the Southern states on board, the Constitution had no chance of being ratified, aka there wouldn't have been a United States of America. Now, these provisions allowed Southern states to count slaves as 3/5 of a person for purposes of appointment in Congress. Okay, you see that the delegates that were opposed to slavery wanted the South to count only free men for the purposes of representation, basically hoping that would be a carrot for the South to, well, just free the slaves. Hey, if you just free everybody, you're going to have a lot more representation. Well, of course, the cotton, which was the cash cow of the South, profits would be drastically reduced if they started paying everybody. Of course, that wasn't going to happen, right? And then when that didn't work, they needed to compromise, not only to plant a seed to eventually abolish slavery, but to ratify the Constitution as well. Now, again, if the North decided to draw a line, well, I'd say the North, but if the delegates that were against slavery decided to draw a line and not accept any agreement without the abolishment of slavery, the U.S., the United States of America, may not exist as we know it. And the South was concerned that if the House became controlled by free states, then they would soon see the federal government abolish slavery altogether. So you see, as most of the Founding Fathers were opposed, and they were opposed to slavery, they understood that in order for the Union to prevail and the Constitution to be ratified, they could not bluntly abolish it. And so behold the genius, and yes, I said this, genius of the 3/5 compromise. If the Founding Fathers couldn't abolish slavery outright during the ratification of the Constitution, then they would plant a seed for the future generations to finish the task. The population in the North was expanding at a fast rate, much faster than the South. So it was just a matter of time before free states outnumbered slave states in regards of representation. And the South knew this, and it seems that the 3/5 compromise, I think, only delayed a war that must have been predestined during the Constitutional Convention. They were not going to give up slaves because that was their moneymaker. Free labor, and all they got, they reaped all the money. As we all know, after the Civil War, there's the 13th and 14th Amendment, which mooted the 3/5 compromise. And let history show that, unfortunately, freedom came with the blood of many free men and slaves. The vision of our Founding Fathers became a reality. And this, viewers, is what our 112th Congress omitted from the reading on the floor yesterday. And, frankly, it disgusts me, and don't we need to know where we've been, right? We need to know where we've been. And, okay, the 18th Amendment, I guess the only people offended are probably alcoholics, I guess. I'm sorry. But it doesn't matter. It's still where we came from. And, yeah, that was a progressive movement. Anyways, so it's just, it was great intentions, poor execution. And there's another something I want you guys to know too. And you guys have already read this. You guys probably know all about this anyways. But there were 2 Republicans that decided not even to show up. Not just the swearing in, but they didn't show up to the Constitution reading it was obviously a very good reason. Someone was in the hospital, car broke down, the dog was having puppies. Come on. No, it was a fundraiser. Yeah, fundraiser. And that annoys me too. So I'm going to tell you who those people were. And not only that, but I'm going to give you their phone numbers. So the 2 viewers that watch this can call them and let them know how they feel. The 2 Republicans that didn't show up, Pete Sessions, he's a senator for the 32nd District in Texas. And the phone numbers I got in text, you can see it right now. If you're watching this, you see the phone numbers. And the second one was Mike Fitzpatrick, who's Senator Pennsylvania, 8th Congressional District. They were at fundraisers, okay? I guess they didn't get the memo. They don't watch TV. Maybe they've already read the Constitution. Maybe they memorized it. Then I'd be impressed. And I'd probably have to take this blog down. But those are the names, and the numbers are on there, so you can call them and let them know how you feel about them not showing up. Not only to swear in, which is in the Constitution, by the way. They need to be there to swear in. There's nothing that says they can, via webcam. No, you kind of got to be there. So maybe they would have known that if they were at the reading, or they did read. So maybe they haven't read the Constitution. Anyways, thanks guys for watching. I had some other stuff, but can't fit it all in one webcam think tank session. But thanks you guys for watching it, and hope you have a great day. Stay safe. Game, set.
Kind of man will be